Welcome back to another episode of Teach, Sleep, Repeat. My name is Hayden.
Never do that again.
Come on. My name is Hayden.
My name is Dylan.
Come on.
My name is Dylan.
Hey, there we go.
What are you doing?
I don't know. I thought I'd started differently. Do you want to do your bit anyway, even though everyone knows?
Never do that
this is
again.
now?
Okay.
No?
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Teach, Sleep, Repeat. My name is Dylan.
My name's Hayden.
I've got to say it, okay? It doesn't feel like the start of an episode
No.
unless I say it. Hayden, are you a primary school teacher?
Yes.
Me
Just think about
too.
that.
Yeah, so new listeners listening, we are two primary school teachers. Old listeners, you're already thinking, what are they on about, eh?
We know that.
People. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right.
That sounded like a tinge of, you weren't.
To be honest with you, I am generally all right,
Okay.
but I have just had a bath installed.
Okay.
Right.
So, sorry, what?
I have more context, I guess. We're doing our bathroom up. We've only got one bathroom, so it's been a nightmare. Anyone that's ever had their bathroom replaced and you've got one bathroom?
One bathroom.
One bathroom. Yeah, I know. You've got about 15. All right, get over it. One bathroom, nightmare. Have to wash at other people's houses.
Or
yours,
just
though.
not wash.
Yours. Or just not wash for months. Anyway, finally got the bath installed yesterday. Stood in it today. Cracked. It's leaking. Doesn't work. Had one bath.
So less than 24 hours.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. Glad to be here.
I did actually get a tour of your bathroom before this episode.
You did.
I like you've gone for the half-complete rustic look.
Yeah. It's kind of a half-complete broken rustic look now.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the wall's just covered in plaster, that's half done.
Yeah.
And a
also,
cracked bath.
water now.
Yeah.
Water. Yeah.
That's the best kind of
It
bathroom.
was leaking. Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah, I'm couldn't be more positive, really. Really, really in a good place. How about you?
I'm actually really good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm feeling fit, I'm feeling fine, I'm ready. I feel really ill this week.
Feeling fit, are you? apart from the hobble along leg that walked into this room 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I had physio this morning. It's becoming a bit of a routine, I suppose. Every other Friday, I'm having physio in the morning. So that's before we record. For anyone who will peek behind the curtain, we don't record this on the Monday that it gets released.
Well, that would be mad,
that would
wouldn't
be
it?
weird. I'm getting physio, and he absolutely battered me this morning.
Really?
Yeah, anyone who's had physio before?
Did he do any physio?
Yeah, he did. It was before I got in the door.
He says, I hate that face.
But anyone who's had physio knows it's such a weird feeling. It's like you know it's like it's beneficial for you, but in the moment, oh my god, it hurts
it's
so
just pain.
much. It's just pain, and you're just there like, I hope it's gonna help me. And he strapped my foot up, and you don't watch sports, you might not know, but anyone watches sport, you might have seen before this blue tape that these athletes have. And I've always thought to myself, what is tape doing to help you? Like, honestly, just like this blue tape across the back.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what, that just like the kids put tape on each other's back as a joke. It doesn't, help their back
do anything
muscles.
really.
He put tape on my foot, and he was
Yeah.
like, this should feel quite nice actually, because it's basically just going to give you some more support on your arch of your foot. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'm going to trust you because you're a professional.
But it is just a bit of tape
It's just a
on
bit of
my
tape, isn't it? Put the tape on my foot, and I was just like, oh my god, I can feel that tape is supporting my entire foot now, and like it just knocks it like 2 degrees where it should be. I'm like, oh, I can
Placebo?
No, I don't think
Or
so.
do you think that really is
No,
actually pulling your...
Yeah, I can feel the pull.
Yeah,
I
okay.
can feel my leg becoming more, or my foot rather, becoming more straight.
Nice.
Anyway, he absolutely battered me. My leg's really hurting right now. But that's part of the course, I hope.
But you're good.
Yeah, apart from that,
You're good.
I'm
Do you know
fit
what?
and ready.
I'm good as well. I am playing it up a bit, really. I'm good as well. The bath was a bit annoying, but it'll be fixed. It's fine. But I'm also good. I'm feeling positive.
Yeah, you got something to back that up, or are you just scared that you were too negative?
No, not really. I'll tell you what, though.
But if I just say I'm good,
Yeah, I'm
hopefully
good.
at some
I feel all right, really. Come on, it's just a bath. I'll get over it, guys. I'll get over it, all right? For God's sake, just stop mentioning it, all right?
Come on, I've got on your notes here, all you've put for your catch-up
Right,
is
all right,
how
okay.
to cheer me up. So what, you up?
My little story then for the week is anything I can think of because I'm not as obviously as exciting as you. So this week I was having a bit of a laugh with my maths class, as I always do, as is the start of many of my stories on this podcast. Having a laugh.
Don't
with
learn
my
any maths,
class.
just have a good time.
No, we just have a good old time. The old blow dart maths, remember that? Any
dear.
old listeners will know that one. Anyway, so I was going through vocab with them, and I was going through just vocab for the 4 operations, and I was just looking at some, I was like, come on, do we know what these all mean? And I said, right, here's my favourite one, difference. And we were looking at the word difference. I said, it's my favourite word in maths. I love this word, but I feel like kids always struggle with with understanding what it means and and how you actually find it. So we were exploring that. And then as it kind of went on, I sort of was joking around with them saying to them, you know what? If I'm ever looking a bit down, guys, just say to me, oh, isn't difference such a cool thing in maths? And that'll really cheer me up. So that was just our little joke. But then it very quickly moved on to other things that will also cheer me up. And we decided that them telling me that you stink will cheer me up. So yesterday when I was sort of playing around with them, pretending, and they were like, oh, Mr. Stevens, doesn't Mr. Price really smell bad? And I was like, thank you. I'm in such a better mood now. He does. Thank you. That is so nice. And someone else was like, isn't difference the coolest thing in maths? I was like, yes, it is, isn't it? Wow, I'm in such a good mood now. But as always, it did descend into at your expense.
Sure. That's fine.
So I just
I'm
wanted
the common denominator. That's absolutely fine. But the only question I have is, did they actually know what the difference was?
No.
Of course not.
No, they were good. They were good.
Well.
Yeah. No, they think it's something to do with you smelling.
Cool. Yeah, fair enough.
Good
that
maths
is definitely
teacher.
true. The difference between Mr. Stevens and Mr. Price. Mr. Price actually taught us things. Brilliant. Okay.
But it does smell. Yes. So that was my week. Having a laugh with the kids.
Yeah.
We did some learning somewhere.
At some point.
Somewhere at some point.
Quite important,
I
isn't
think.
it? Really.
Yeah.
I did some art this week.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to, bang this drum again, that it's these types of lessons that I think primary school is made for. Yeah. I loved it. And you know what? It's because the kids loved it. We did some art. It was still, within the art curriculum, we still talked about key vocab like form and composition and shading, doing some cross-hatching and the different mediums that we can draw in and all this kind of stuff.
Very nice.
Looking at different artists and the still life paintings they drew and the drawings they did. And it was one of them moments in lesson where I was just like, this is what kids should be doing in school. Not sat filling in gaps in a paragraph out of a word bank you've given them after you just told them about King Henry VII and the War of the Roses. No, they should just be drawing stuff that's interesting to them, failing at drawing, being bad at drawing, getting over the fact they're bad at drawing because it doesn't matter, trying again in a different way, trying to see what they could improve, get
Still
better.
being bad. Yeah.
Still being bad, and that's fine.
Yeah.
They could finish, a lot of them finished that lesson and they were bad.
Yeah.
And the drawings were awful.
Yeah, and you told them.
But I said to them, kids, that's not good enough. No, they just learned that it's art, it's drawing, it's being expressive, it's trying to improve in certain ways.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I wish every day was like this, where we could just be more flexible and just draw. Because I know for a fact coming up, I've got to fit in the whole history curriculum, geography curriculum. We're just crammed with stuff. Stripping it back, so important. But just doing the activities that the children enjoy.
Yeah.
When you say to them,
things they actually like to do.
yeah, exactly. When you say to them, we're doing art this week, they're like, yes! Oh my God, yes! Because we only get to do art like 1 week every term.
I'm going to start with a vocabulary task.
Yeah, I know, exactly. It's like, how about we just do the art? And whilst we're doing it, I say, by the way, kids, we're constructing the form here of this drawing. We're getting the shape.
Yeah, shut up, Mr. Price. I'm trying to build.
We're doing it 3D. I'm trying to do a serious point, Hayden. We're doing it 2D. We're making it look 3D. Blah blah blah. And I just thought it was really cool. I loved it, and it was one of the moments where I loved the afternoon. And because I'd loved the afternoon so much, I had this pressure, and you know this pressure, where sometimes you feel like you've got to do 2 lessons in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, firstly, that is just so hard to do at the level we need to do it. But secondly, the kids just are so engaged in one thing. It's so hard for them after a day of working incredibly tricky stuff, maths and English all morning.
Yeah.
To then do a lesson, to then switch again to another core.
Yeah.
And I had a choice basically. We could have done an RE lesson, and it would have been like 25 minutes. We would have just done a bit of input, a bit of a chat. It would have been a full lesson, but we could have just tried to pivoted to do that.
Yeah, get some of it done.
Yeah, I just thought, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to read a book. So we got a book. I got 5 books out from my cupboard. My books that I've got, so that straight away is cool for them. Or it's Mr. Price's books.
Yeah.
We did a vote. One got knocked out. Did another vote. One got knocked out. We ended up with this book. I think it's called something like How to Be More Hedgehog. I forget what the author's called. The kids really wanted to hear about it. It's about this girl with a stammer. Anyway, we read it. We read the first chapter, like 15 minutes. The kids were hooked. The kids were staring. And I was like, that is reading for pleasure. That is what primary school is all about. And if, as teachers, we feel pressured that, oh my God, I've got to get something in the RE book about because I've got to do this whole curriculum and I can't do that, I've got to push reading out. That's the number one thing, reading with your kids. It made me realise it. You got to do it. You got to start reading. You got to have 20 minutes at the end of the day to read with your kids. Everything else can form as of that. And I think what I've done wrong in the last few years is make reading like not even on my list of priorities in the afternoon. And I want to make it top. And if I don't get everything done in my curriculum, it's because I was reading with the kids. And as a teacher, if someone's going to moan at me for that, I'll just argue it and say, I wanted to read with my children.
Yeah, but that's the problem though, isn't it? Because they are going to moan at that.
Yeah.
Like you are doing the wrong thing by the standards of the schools and
Yeah.
education. You're doing the right thing in terms of what kids actually need. Like fundamentally, if you strip it completely back away from the curriculum and the government, everything, it's like, yeah, of course they just need to be engaged by books, right?
Well, the
And do
problem is,
some art.
even with that, the guidance says you should do that. The statutory guidance from the government says you should do that.
Yeah,
the problem is the statutory guidance doesn't add up to.
No, exactly.
Fitting
The
in,
guidance
so-
also says do these other 55
Right.
things and you have 1 hour to do it.
So I'm just
What?
prioritizing reading. I'm like, I'm just going to do that.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be the thing that falls off. And if I don't quite finish a lesson, sorry. And we'll see what goes on from
That's
there.
ballsy. I don't know.
Well, a similar thing with a group I'm running at the minute, a gifted and talented group. Now, every single part of your fibre, if you work in a school, is looking at data, trying to move children who are maybe in not their age expected up until their age
Yeah,
expected.
so
And
children that are behind, basically.
children that are behind, children that maybe are pupil premium,
That's what groups are for.
children who don't quite understand something. You know, every gut instinct in a school is to just target those kids and move them up a band. And what happens because of that is over the last years, many years in schools and many different schools, your children at the top are completely forgotten. Completely forgotten. So if they're really good at maths, for example, they're already achieving greater depth.
Yeah.
They're fantastic at maths. They don't need intervention. They're not getting any extra adult support or help.
No, of course
They're
not.
kind of just floating through the curriculum over the year. You kind of know a lot of them, if they sat the test halfway through year 4 or year 5 or wherever they are in year 6 doing their SATs, they'd pass. Not going to affect school data. The schools in general can have this kind of horrible like middle ground of, with the best of intentions, trying to help kids, just forgetting a whole bunch of the cohort. And I thought, I've got a group. I can choose what I'm doing for this group for term 1 specifically before we get any data and stuff. I'm going to do a gifted and talented group. And I picked 6 children from the year group who absolutely smashed their assessments last year, who really like maths, talk to their teachers and are really involved in it. And I'm doing a gifted and talented group. I've done 2 sessions.
Yeah.
I've already had feedback from 2 parents, which never happens when you do groups.
No.
Feedback from 2 parents saying how much their kids loved this group.
Oh, it's so
and they
nice.
were so engaged.
Yeah.
One of them emailed our deputy head to say, is there anything else she can have? She loved it so much. Do I need to support her? Oh my God, she loves this group. She's never done anything like it before.
Aw.
And I was just like, okay, there you go. If ever anyone wants to argue with me and say, no, we need to be doing these things because we actually know in the long term we might get this data up to this point and it's really important. No, I'm going to carry on doing this group because these kids are getting so much out of it. They're having maths enriched for them. They're interested. We're doing stuff not even on the curriculum. We're investigating number sequences. We're getting the blocks out. We did triangle numbers. We did Fibonacci. They found out the rules themselves in a way where I could kind of mold it for them, but they're doing the investigating. They're making up the rules. We're doing algebra, but with emojis and things like that.
Yeah.
They're working out that a symbol can mean a number, and then they're working out the order of operations as well as we go along. They're just picking all this stuff up naturally because they're so inquisitive. It's so much learning going on. And in doing this group, I realized how much of my job is firefighting and behavior management and staying on top of things.
Rather than
Because
enjoying it.
in this group, it was pure learning, pure engagement. And I know part of our job is always going to be behavior management, but my God, I fell back in love with teaching just from doing half an hour.
Yeah.
It's like, this is amazing.
But is that a better use of time? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is.
From a non-selfish point of view?
I think it's as good a use of time. It's as good a use of time. If an individual child needs help achieving something in maths,
Yeah.
I think that help and that need can be different per child.
Yeah.
But to say to a point one is more important constantly that the other one should always be forgotten, I think that's wrong. I think you can have priorities.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm struggling with it a little bit because I think it's really cool and I think I'd enjoy it as well. But I'm worried that it's because you enjoy it more
And the kids enjoy it.
and the kids really enjoy
The kids
it.
love it.
I don't know. But maybe I'm just the user. I'm in that world. You know, I've
Yeah.
spent 10 years in this world of. If we have that little bit of extra time,
Yeah.
I'll prioritize the kids that can't even reach the average level yet.
So for those kids get prioritized anyway. And prioritize is different to not doing anything at all with the other children.
Yeah.
So I still think those children should get the groups they need. And those children are going to get more time.
But are they going to get the groups if you're not doing it?
Yeah, because the groups are still going on. I've got 4 groups at the minute.
Right. Okay.
3 of them are children who need help getting to a level. And this group is an extra one where I could have done more children who need help getting to a certain level or around age expected to boost them.
Yeah.
But I said, no, I'm going to do this group instead.
Yeah.
My point is we shouldn't forget all of the cohort
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
because of
hard, isn't
that. And I think that just because something's not necessarily measurable on an end of year assessment that we've decided there's a way to grade kids halfway through a key stage. I don't necessarily think that automatically means it's bad.
Yeah.
Like how do you measure it? Well, do you know what? Those emails from parents of kids going home buzzing about maths. That's all the metric I need to say that group's worth doing.
Yeah.
And I just think, as
but
teachers...
teaching's not about feeling good, Dylan. It's about data.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is the problem.
And that's what we're rooted in, isn't it?
Yeah, and because it's true.
Yeah.
Like it is true. Like it's not even a point to argue, really, is it? It's, teaching has become about data. That's all it's about. There's nothing else matters. Nothing else matters in the eyes of anything measurable in education now, other than data that the government can get their hands on.
And do you know what the horrible thing is? Maybe we can finish on this point. And teachers, if you're out there listening, let us know if you feel the same way. I feel like there are children who you could spend, and you do spend 4 years in a row, telling them that sentences start with a capital letter and showing them how to bridge past 10 when you add.
Yeah.
And they still don't get it. And doing half an hour extra intervention every week makes a little bit of progress, but they still don't quite get something.
Or none.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, true.
Or none. Like,
And at that point, it's like, well, I had to do this group because these children were the ones who the data suggested aren't there. Well, they aren't there because they aren't there. And some children are at that point in their learning. And we need to accept that sometimes. We said, different cohorts have different levels. That inherently means that some cohorts have children who aren't quite there yet. And it doesn't matter how much intervention we put in place or barrage them with, they're not quite there yet.
It is true. Because if I go back to, even reflecting on something we've said in the past, I think that the timetable's too long anyway. Like I think we'd benefit from shortening the amount of maths and English and stuff we do and just chunking it more. And like it goes against everything in my soul to be like, yes, if they can't do it, do more of it. Like, the government are like trying to extend the school days. I think that's terrible. I think the research suggests that extending school days won't do anything. The kids will just be even more tired and learn less because their brain is just overwhelming. So it is strange. I do find it strange sometimes that we take our lowest achievers out after they do 5 hours of maths a week. Yeah. And we go, do you know what they need? They need another hour or so.
Yeah. Another half hour even.
Do you know what?
Another 20 minutes sometimes.
It's not going to do anything.
No.
It's not going to do anything. And I'll tell you what, it very rarely does anything.
No. Really? Apart from, do you know what it does do? Make them resent what they're missing because they're doing extra maths.
Yeah, especially when they're taken out of art.
What's that? We're taken out of PE to do some extra maths that I can't do, but I'm really good at PE.
Yeah.
What, because the data... What does the data say about PE? Why can't I do PE?
Yeah.
Why can't I do my history lesson? I enjoy history. It's fun. What? You're going to teach me how to do, column method addition again? I've done that for a week and I struggle with it.
I did it last year and the year before and I still can't do it. So your half an hour thing is just taking me out of PE.
However, my gifted and talented group, they're doing algebra sequences, stuff they would never ever see before.
And they hate
PE. And they're absolutely loving it. I don't know. I think we should rethink it. I think interventions are... maybe something we could do in the future, a whole episode on, our entire body of our existence in schools, which are very much because we've always done them.
Yeah.
And I just think they're a bit broken.
Bin them.
Well, we'll talk about that in the future, shall we?
Yeah. Well, that's how we're going to leave it. I'm going to say bin them right now, and then maybe next time we'll talk about it.
Well, I've done one with Gifted and Talented, and I think it's really worthwhile.
Yeah.
So don't bin interventions.
So there we go. All right.
Let's talk about it in the future. Should we do what we're actually came here to do, which was something completely different?
I suppose so.
Yeah. Okay. Play the jingle. Is middle leadership in a school ever worth it?
Wow, you really did go in straight with the question. What would I normally do now?
You would go, no. End of the episode. Yeah. Is it ever worth it though?
No. No.
Let's clarify what we mean.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Let's take this back, Dill. Okay. Let's take this back. Should we go right back to
the start
middle
of time?
leadership even?
Sorry.
Maybe not the start of time.
No, okay.
Maybe just the start of like 10 seconds ago.
Yeah.
So what is middle leadership? What even is that? Let's just bear in mind we have non-teacher listeners that might not even know what this is.
Yeah, Rishi Sunak.
Rishi Sunak.
What's he doing now?
I don't know. I think he just listens to this.
Isn't he still the leader of the opposition? Isn't he still in charge of the Conservatives right now? Because they haven't got a new one yet.
I have no idea.
No, of course
he writes in a lot. We should ask him.
Yeah, definitely. Got a lot of time on his hands. So middle leadership in school is quite a vague term, actually.
Yeah.
Because I'd say you could kind of break school down into 3 levels. You've got your teachers. So we're talking about teachers here, not assistant teachers or caretakers or anything like that.
Just the level of
the teaching staff.
Class teacher.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got class teacher, who is that they have a class, they teach English and maths in the morning, they have their class in the afternoon. That's it. Then at the top we've got SLT. And whenever we say SLT, we mean senior leadership team. Yep. This is comprised of the head teacher, the deputy head teacher, and often assistant head teachers who might have other roles in the school, but they're part of the SLT, which is the ultimate top they make all the decisions and have their own meetings. And then middle leadership is this really strange middle ground where there's extra responsibility. And what might come to mind straight away when you say middle leadership is a year group leader.
Yeah.
Or a key stage leader if you're in a smaller school, or even a curriculum lead, or lately with schools a lot more subject leaders. Particularly, I would say English and maths are often on the middle leadership meetings, like rota, if you want to have a meeting or anything. But I would argue the other one, depending on how much work you have to do and how much kind of accountability there is, they can creep into middle leadership as well. So what we're talking about here is, as a classroom teacher, which is, by the way, clarify again, because you did this very well last time, being a classroom teacher is a full-time job. Planning, delivering lessons, marking the lessons takes up all of the directed time which you are allotted as a classroom teacher. That's a job. Middle leadership is where those classroom teachers maybe apply to lead a year group, or lead a phase, maybe year 5-6 lead, or even a whole key stage if you're in a bigger school. And the question is basically, is it ever worth it? Is it ever worth going from a class teacher to a middle leader? Why would someone do it? And the big question, I suppose, is why is no one bothering to do it anymore? It feels like, why does no one want that job? It's become a poison chalice almost. So we're going to try and dig deep here. Is it ever worth it?
Well, let's start with a pro, right?
So why would you?
So a reason that someone would do it. Okay, the first and most obvious reason I think that jumps out at me that a class teacher would apply for this middle leadership role, not just have it like chucked on them, but actually apply for it, is that they have a plan in their head where they want to work up these kind of roles in the school and potentially make it to senior leadership. Maybe they even want to be a head teacher or something like that one day. So and for them, it's an important step on that ladder where they're like, I have to do this to progress to the next bit. They might not necessarily be looking at the middle leadership thinking, oh, that's all I want to do with my career. I just want to go and be a middle leader. I just want to be the head of year for the rest of my life. They might do, but I think the majority of people, when I speak to them anyway, are like, yeah, I'm going to try and do this for like a year or two, and then I'm going to be applying for like that deputy head position that I know is going to be coming up. You know? So that's the first thing for me is it's a stepping stone. It is the next rung of the ladder that they have to go to. All right.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because it almost implies within what you're saying there that it's a role you don't want to do.
For a lot of people, I think it is though. I really do think that. And maybe I've just been warped by the people I just happen to have spoken to over the years. But I feel like I've spoken to like a healthy amount of people who have been class teachers who have then become middle leaders and either still are or have moved on or have stopped doing it. I think what we should do is separate out here generic subject leadership. Maybe we could talk about that a bit later on. Sure.
Because generic subject leadership is in a lot of schools just expected. You know, okay, well, you've got to lead something, so you can lead PSHE or you can lead RE, you can lead geography, history, blah, blah, blah. We've spoken loads about how that's just an insane burden on workload. We're talking about how this is where teachers actively don't have to make that step and want to do so to become a year group leader, to become a phase leader. It's added responsibility. And something that a lot of people have said to me before, and another reason why you might want to do it, and it might be worth it for you, is that you do get a bump in your salary. You do get extra money often.
Okay, let's talk about money.
TLR. It's really important because it's almost both, isn't it? It's a pro and a con, because the pro is someone who's trying to sell it to someone might say, so I'm going to be SLT here. I need to find a year group leader. Hey, Hayden.
I'm thinking about it.
Hayden, you're thinking about it. I know you got your eye on the prize, my job in the long term, but but hey, little champ, you can't do it just yet.
All right.
Maybe between now and then, do you know what would be really good? Bit of experience, okay? And do you know what? Bit of I get a taste for that power in middle leadership. Yeah, a little bit of power. And do you know what? You get a bit of money.
The money. I was wondering because you're on loads of money compared to me.
Well, don't worry about that. No need to be transparent about that yet. Okay. But a bit of that moolah. Yeah. Okay. You want to be ahead of year.
Yeah. I do.
You can get a bit of extra cash.
Well, that's kind of halfway between my role and your role. So big pay rise we're talking here.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
A little bit of extra cash. You can't sniff it, can you?
You said little a few times now. I am getting a bit worried.
Just a little bit.
You said it again.
Yeah, because you love the kids, don't you?
I do love the kids.
How much do you love the kids?
I love the kids about as much. I don't know. It depends how much you pay me. I'll be honest with you right now, because you're starting to wig me out a little bit.
A little bit more.
Am I gonna? Sorry. Are you going to pay me at all for this?
Yes!
You are? Okay.
I'm going to pay you.
Roughly how much?
After tax, 60 quid a year.
Sorry, what was that?
Huh?
So you mumbled and you said something.
I don't know.
You either said £6,000 or £60.
Can I I don't have control over the tax system.
Yeah.
Right. I wish I did, because if I had control over the tax system, you wouldn't be paying a penny of tax.
No,
but I
wouldn't.
can offer you a TLR.
Yeah, a TLR,
And
good.
TLRs, as you know,
They go up to
range
like-
from £2,600.
Yeah.
In fact, £2,671 precisely, which I just happen to know is the minimum that you can give someone for a TLR.
brilliant. Yeah.
Just happen to know that.
That is the minimum, yeah.
And they range upwards from there.
Yeah, about 10 grand, I think they got up to.
Don't know, wouldn't know. But they range upwards
worrying.
Don't worry about that. They range upwards from precisely £2,671.
Yeah, it's weird. So you know that number, but you don't know the top one. But that's fine, because I'm somewhere in between. So
Well-
okay, all right. Think about that scale.
Yeah.
Where if I take on this massive responsibility of
Yeah.
being, let's say, head of year, because you need a head of year, and there's 4 classes,
Massive
middle,
leadership.
yeah, but
Meh. You say massive responsibility.
yeah, is it crucial? Do you need me?
I really need it's
Really need-
absolutely
okay.
crucial. This role honestly, schools would not function unless we had this role
Yeah,
and you were in charge
What?
of.
Just sorry, before you clarify the money, because I can understand maybe it's a bit different.
Small
Will
money.
this be replacing?
Yeah.
Will I be out of class all the time?
No.
Doing this. Will I be
No,
doing
no,
it on top?
Yeah, because
On
you
top
love
of-
Do you know, we couldn't take you out the classroom, could we?
No, I
We
do
can't
love
take, you're one of our best teachers,
Right.
Hayden. We can't take you out the classroom. What I'm asking you to do is loads of extra work on top of that.
Okay, let's cut to the chase.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, you need someone to be head of year. It's a crucial role.
Yep.
I've got to do it on top of my full-time teacher
Yeah,
role
yeah,
that
yeah.
already eats into my
Yep.
entire weekends
Yep,
and evenings.
Yep.
How much money am I going to get for
Well,
doing
because
this?
to be fair, money
On
is
that
the only
range.
thing you're getting extra, isn't it? Because you're not getting time out. You're not getting time out.
Yeah.
Sorry, I actually can't. By the way, this afternoon cover your class because I don't want to. But we can't get you out of class. No extra time. So no extra time to do it. Huge responsible job, massive responsibility, but it is a stepping stone for you, and we can give you a little bit of money.
Go on. Okay. Well, the thing is, though, you keep skirting around that.
A little bit of
What
money.
is the little bit of money that
I'm
you're
going to
thinking?
give you a TLR 3. And 3 is a big number. 3 is
is.
bigger than 1 or 2, isn't it?
It's bigger than 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Does it come with lots more money?
No.
How much precisely are we talking?
After tax, about 100 quid.
But,
What?
so you mumbled again. Was that after tax about
yeah.
£100?
Well, roughly. But what's money between
A
friends?
day or
No. A month?
a month?
Yeah. So in your pay packet, tiny.
Yeah.
You'd honestly, your pay rise is going to be more than what your TLR will be. So, are you up for it?
Well, you've sold it to me. I'm in, baby. Well, that went on for a while, didn't it?
Oh my god, I forgot we were doing a skit. I just was in the middle of a
Key point here, I guess that you were harping
Yeah.
on, and we're both getting at, is
Yeah.
that although it's more money,
Yep.
generally, and you know what, Dylan's already explored the fact that there are middle leaders out there taking on geography lead that don't even get any money at all, so that's just an awkward middle ground. But we're talking about middle leaders that come with money and responsibility like that. It's not much, is it?
Nothing.
It's really not much. Like most year group leaders get paid the absolute minimum amount on a TLR, which is what, 2,000.
I said
Was that
2000.
true?
It's something like
Oh,
that.
I
It's
thought you were-
something like that.
I was like,
It's-
this is
I
weird
hope to know exactly, but it's like high ends of 2000s.
Yeah.
And the way it's just complete abuse of the system.
Yeah.
Because TLR, for anyone who doesn't know, is teaching and learning responsibility. They've been designed to give people money who have a teaching and learning responsibility.
Yeah, something
and there
extra.
are TLR 3s, which is the lowest. Even though it says 3,
Yeah.
TLR 2 and then TLR 1. And the whole point is TLR 3s are designed to be short term. You've got a school improvement plan. Someone comes on board for like a little bit to be like, right, we're gonna smash history. We're gonna rewrite the curriculum. Here's a TLR for these 6 months.
Yeah, 'cause it's
because
extra
you're doing
work.
this extra work, extra job. But it's short term. If you have a long term, more permanent position, you are supposed to have at least TLR 2.
Yeah.
And even potentially TLR 1 based on how important the impact is on your school. That does not happen anymore. You get TLR 3 or nothing.
Yeah.
For example, pure transparency here, and this is the same in every school, so I don't think this is necessarily something you can beat your school with or stick with. There's not enough money in schools right now. We lead maths, okay? We're part-time, so it's already pro rata our TLR. We don't get the full TLR, even though the job isn't pro rata, you know, but our time is pro rata, so we get pro rated for the TLR, and we're on the lowest possible rung of TLR 3.
And we half it.
Yeah, because
we
you share it.
decided to take it on at the same time, so it's quite funny.
So, you know, we're getting, honestly, about 50 quid, I think, a month.
No, it's less than that.
Is it less than that
like,
after
it's
tax?
like 25, 30 pounds.
Yeah, so you look at it and you're just like, oh my god, and it's just you just think to yourself. Luckily, we love maths. You know, we're in a place where if we need to implement stuff, we get time to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So the money isn't as important because basically the money would be for your responsibility and for your time maybe. But as head of year, and we've spoken to a lot of people in our time, it's a role that is becoming less and less valued.
Yeah, desirable.
It's not desirable anymore. And it's because of what we're saying. We're over it as teachers. If we do a job, we want to get paid for it. Newsflash, we don't want to do it for free anymore.
Yeah. Did you see the strikes?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it is mad. So there are pros and cons there. Pro is you do get a bit more money, and you know what? That might be that little bit extra money that you need. And we're not here to like say, oh, it's crap. Like no one gets it. But really, objectively, like
for your time and
for your
responsibility.
time, for the time and responsibility compared to like what you're actually getting paid for your main job, it really, really is a tiny amount more money for an enormous responsibility. If you're doing something like a head of year or a phase leader, where you're actually managing multiple year groups across like key stage 2 or lower key stage 2 or key stage 1, whatever. So yeah, it's a pro and con, the money. For me, it's a massive con. It is not enticing whatsoever. Like there's absolutely no way that anyone could ever convince me to be a head of year. Like no matter what my situation was, get rid of our business, get rid of us being part-time. If I just went back to being a class teacher, and I was 10 years in right now, and they were like, oh, you're at the top of the pay scale now anyway because you're 10 years in. Do you want an extra $2,000 to take on this horrendous job? I'd be like, absolutely not. Someone, I'm not. No way am I doing that.
No.
That's not enticing enough at all.
No. Okay, so a big part of being a middle leader then, if I'm playing the role now of actually, I'm going to try and entice you to become one. Because you very clearly don't want to be one.
Yeah.
So we've gone through the benefits of you do get paid, but really, is it worth it? No, not really. We talked about timeout briefly. Okay. Is there any amount of timeout in a week where you would think, okay, my role has just changed enough here where I know I don't need to spend any extra time now doing this job.
Yeah.
But I know that I've got the extra responsibility. Okay, is there an amount of time in a week that you think would be acceptable enough to turn your head and take this role as head of year, let's say, or head of key stage? What does that look like to you? Like, how much time would you need out of your calendar in the week for it to be okay? Now it's an acceptable.
That's a really good question. So, firstly, yes, there is a situation here where I'd be like, now I'm happy.
So the job itself isn't something you're inherently against?
No, not at all.
Right.
And I actually think, we can talk about another pro whilst I give you this answer, which is, as someone who quite likes managerial stuff anyway, it's actually, like, on paper, I actually quite like the idea of the job. I just don't like the idea of the job on top of full-time teaching with no leeway whatsoever. Now, I think it's normal that year group leaders, middle leaders might get, like, an afternoon out a week or like a slot somewhere right out a week, but I don't think it's enough to take on all the responsibility of, like, it just, everything falls on you, doesn't it? It's something gone wrong, the teacher's not in the next day. Who do you reckon is the person who's got to, like, sort out cover for that person? It's going to be the year group leader, isn't it, realistically? So for me, I think, it's different for every school, depends on what the role is. I think it just needs to be the perfect balance of my job is now not going to take any longer than it did than before I was started, because my time is already maxed out. It has to be fully replaced. So if that means I need 3 afternoons out a week, and do you know what? Someone else is the class teacher, but I do maths and English in the morning.
Maybe you're the
set
teacher.
I'm a set teacher now, and I help cover in the afternoons every now and then. But generally, the afternoons are free for me to get on with this role and manage and run the year group properly. I'll be like, yeah, okay, that's worth it now. Even with just a little boost in income, I'll be like, yeah, but do you know what? You've given me the time. I enjoy the role. It's replacing things I did before. A little bit more responsibility, a little bit more money. I'd be like, okay, I'll be more into this right now. But as it currently stands, I don't know of that existing. Maybe if you work in a school, you're a middle leader in that position, you think, yeah, actually my school is really fair. Please let us know, because I don't know anyone who is working as a middle leader, specifically as a year group or phase leader, who isn't being absolutely royally mugged off for their time and money.
Completely, absolutely agree. Because it's something on paper that I thought you'd be really interested in. Just knowing you, knowing the like managerial aspect of basically, I don't want to say being in charge because it sounds like I'm taking a mick, but just this idea of, okay, I can take in all of these problems, I can try and solve them, I can work with my team, and we can move forward together. I think you'd be really good at that, and it's a shame. And what I get frustrated about in schools is that these people are being turned away from these roles. And not only are these people being turned away from these roles, the people who accept it are being ground down. You know, actually, you would be a great middle leader, and you are an amazing middle leader. But you know what? If you were just given the time that you needed to do the job, you'd be even better.
You can't do it in this scenario.
Schools would be more efficient. Schools would be better. Teachers would feel happier. Workload would reduce. I just think it's just such a domino effect. And this is another cog in the school machine which isn't working. You know, one cog breaks the machine, right? But we've got about 15 cogs that are completely broken in the school. And this is like, this to me screams austerity and cuts. because why is this happening? I don't think there's anyone in the country who really thinks that it's better if a class teacher maintains all of their class teacher responsibility and has to lead a year group. I don't think anyone actually thinks that that's acceptable or okay.
No.
Why? What do you think's driving this?
Well, like you said, it's cuts, it's money. I mean, Dylan and I spoke to a teacher the other day. I won't go into details as to why, but we were speaking to a teacher the other day who works in a small school, one form entry, and they were saying how they are head of 3 subjects on top of being a classroom teacher. And it just, honestly, I had like a feeling in my stomach where I felt a bit sick because I was like, God, we work in a big school and luckily we can spread that burden out a little bit. But loads of people just don't. And I think she was even saying how it's like, yeah, we're on the absolute breaking point, complete breaking point. Like it's broken. The system is completely broken. Like we can't manage this. And I just feel horrible. And and you think about it, it's like, yeah, it's down to money. Yeah. If there was more money, we could employ more people to do these jobs. We don't, and they have to get done. They're so important that they have to get done, but there's no money for them. So
that's the bit that messes with my head, that I just can't accept when people try and tell me something's so important, because that has to come along with money. Like if something is that important, and I agree it is, the children's outcomes and stuff, if we're all agreeing that that's so important, we need to match it with what we're putting into the system, because we're not currently. And it's like saying, okay, I don't believe you think it's that important then, because you're also gatekeeping so much money that we need. Okay, thinking about continuing to try and convince you to take this job. Okay, we can't get the time out.
Sure.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Cool.
But I really want you to become head of year.
I'm gone by now.
No.
I'm here.
I really want you to become head of year. So, and I know for a fact you've talked about you like responsibility. Okay, you like being able to make decisions. You like being able to be in charge of a team, being their leader. And that's something you get to do as a middle leader. You get to really mold what we're doing as a curriculum, maybe, or you're in charge of people and you can say, no, we're going to do this trip. We're going to be in charge of that. How true is that as a middle leader? How much power do middle leaders actually have? We're thinking that's a pro.
I think it is true, mostly. I think it is mostly true that they have some power and responsibility, and more than the class teacher anyway. Like they can make decisions with their year group, perhaps, if we're thinking about year group leaders again. But there is just that caveat, isn't there, of there is still a rung above you, though, the SLT, who could just basically veto anything you say at any point. And it does happen, I find. And I think middle leaders can sometimes get caught in a little trap of delivering the news of the SLT as if it was their decision, but really they've just been told by SLT, no, look, we need to do this thing. Teachers aren't going to like it, but we need to do this thing in geography, and that's what you're leading at the moment, and in maths, because you're leading both, actually, and you're a year group leader as well. So you need to tell your year group that we're changing maths and geography.
This is a meeting between 2 people, me and you, and you're in charge of everything.
You're in charge of everything, and I'm not in class, your class base, this is all on top. And you got to deliver that news. And remember, you're on the leadership team now, so we can't be seen to be disagreeing, can we? That is often the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. It's like you've got to all be on the same, fighting from the same hymn sheet, singing from the same hymn sheet. I'm doing a you.
I'd like to do that, church, though.
And but it puts people in awkward positions, doesn't it? Which I think is kind of what you want to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is that yes, you do have a bit of power, and really you're the line manager for people now. They do actually just kind of need to do what you're telling them to do.
Absolutely.
But equally, they could immediately go above you if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's
if
true.
they don't agree with you, straight to SLT. Oh, my line manager's telling me to do this. I don't want to do it. And they might just go around you.
Yeah.
And 2, their line managers, the SLT, are going to tell you sometimes you need to deliver this bad news and you need to be happy about it because you're on the leadership team now, and we're all singing from the same hymn sheet again.
Yeah. It's like, to me, it's like school. You know, when you there's all these cliques and groups that kind of have this weird way of working together, and these guys have influence over these guys, but the other people are hard to have influence over. You got to go around them. It's so hard to stay on top of. And although there's a direct line, like you said, of power coming down, middle leadership is so hard because you are still the people at the bottom of that line. You are still a classroom teacher. Yeah. So for a lot of it, as a middle leader who's out of the room, you might be able to step back from stuff sometimes and see it from the level of SLT. But also you are on the ground doing it. And if SLT or someone decide something that you know is bad and your team think is bad, it's incredibly hard and awkward to be the middle person in that because you are fighting something you literally experience every day. Yeah. So where you're in the classroom delivering the lessons, if they say we need to do X, Y, Z, and your whole team turn around and say, you know that's mad, right? Because we did all this last week, and you know that introducing that would be insane and wouldn't work.
Because you're on the ground with us.
Because you're on the ground with us, and you're a really cool, decent person. You understand that's just not going to work, right? And they have to kind of go, yeah, but you know. And that's that.
This is what we're doing, and I can't disagree with it because I'm trying to work up the ladder. But that's the other thing. At the end of the day, with this, the whole context of this also needs to be that the chances are these middle leaders are probably have got their eyes set on something higher as well, probably most of the time.
Yeah.
So it's like they absolutely don't want to be disagreeing with SLT and be in the bad books now because they want to make it up to that role at some point. So it is a hard position to be in. I think just to kind of summarize, because we've sort of talked about the pros, I think, so I just kind of want to summarize them if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Number one, it's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
You know, that's the pro. It could get you to a position that actually you really want to do, and you might not need to do it for very long. So someone's got to do it. Someone's going to go through that.
Yeah.
You might enjoy the elements to it. Like you might actually, like me, I actually quite, with our business, I really enjoy the running side of it, the admin side of it.
And
I
you do
enjoy
run
that.
it. Thank you.
I do run it, and you, for some reason, take half the profit. But I enjoy it, and that's why I think you sort of let me do that because I enjoy it. I enjoy the managerial side of it. So you might enjoy
make
that.
money through the business, and I do the podcast, which is fun.
Yeah. So
about the same.
Yeah, you take the money from the business, and I take some of the fun. That's kind of how it works.
I think that's fair.
But if
like a middle leadership role.
Yeah,
I'm SLT. You're doing all the work.
You're reaping all the rewards.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, I do. Thanks for that.
That's right.
I think we'll be talking about our business later.
Okay.
So we have a bit of a reshuffle.
Oh yeah.
You're out.
Yeah, cool.
You're out.
No problem.
But yeah, that kind of is the pros. And also a bit of time out of class if you're lucky enough. That for you might be a good thing. It comes with the managerial side. I get to be out of class a little bit more, maybe reduce your marking a little bit because actually I'm going to do some admin instead, which I enjoy more. There are some pros to it. You get a bit of power. But yeah.
But still no.
But still no, because I think all the cons we've talked about so far, and maybe there's some we've missed. We wrote a few down.
Money's the big one. Money is the big one.
Yeah.
It's a job.
Do you know what? Time. The more I think about it, time is the big one.
Yeah.
Because actually that scenario you gave me, where I had more time, I probably would do it.
Sure. Do you know what I'm saying? Money's the big one is because I'm just not even fathoming that time could be a thing.
Yeah, that can't even be an option.
Because, time actually is money. Obviously, sounds ridiculous. Time is money.
Time is money.
But if you're out of the classroom, you have to pay for someone to teach. And if you're not going to be a classroom teacher anymore, and let's say you want to just be English and maths in the morning, you've got to hire a new teacher to be that class's teacher.
Yeah.
So time comes with money. But personally, you could give me no extra money at all. But if you gave me the same amount of time, I think I'd also take the job.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's time.
Yeah.
And that's probably all it is actually.
Yeah.
Because then you could build it up. I'm really interested. Before we talk about, maybe we can go into more detail about a couple of the no's. I'm really interested in your situation. I want to dive into you personally because you, like many people listening, went into teaching, and I know for a fact, in your head, you thought, I'm going to be head teacher one day.
Yeah, I was gunning for it.
So you were absolutely there, right? So at the start of your career, you were like, I'm going to be a head teacher. I know full well what it means. I'm going to have to work up. I'm going to take on maths early, which you did. I'm going to, obviously in your head, you thut I'm going to have to work through my way through the rungs of this ladder.
Yeah.
What changed and when for you personally?
Okay. Let's go back in time, shall we? At the beginning of my career. You're absolutely right, by the way. When I started teaching, I was very much in the mindset of, I'm here to work up the ranks. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a head teacher in 10 years.
Well,
10 years on now. 10 years on now, exactly. And things did change.
Yeah. So when and why? What happened?
Two things changed. I'll tell you when. Number one, 3 years into our job, me and you started our business. And I got a taste for working for myself. I got a taste for working outside of teaching and earning money in a different way. That's number one. That's one big catalyst that made me think, it challenged my mindset and made me think maybe there is another life for me, like a different direction I can go in. That's number one. Number two kind of comes with everything we've been talking about in this episode is as my eyes opened more to what it was like to work in education, and I saw the progression and all of the bits in between being a head teacher and all of the cons that come with it, the lack of pay, the lack of time, I realized that I absolutely did not want to do any of those in-between bits. And I still feel like that now. Do you know what? If we didn't have our business, I'd be gutted because I'd be thinking, I want to be a head teacher. But I don't want to be a year group leader. I don't want to be a phase leader. I don't want to be assistant head. I don't want to be a deputy head. I just want to be a head teacher because I like that bit. That's the bit I like. Yeah. And I'm aware that you can't do that. So I kind of had to give up and be like, it's never going to happen. I'll either be a class teacher forever or I'm going to be a head teacher. Yeah. Right. Which is not feasible.
Yeah, no. It's interesting. Do you think then that the business is the main reason? Because what I'm saying is, you just said if we didn't have the business, you'd go back to wanting to be a head teacher, right? But you don't want to do all the bits in between.
Yeah, but I probably would.
But you probably would, right? So this is what I'm saying. Do you think a big part for you, and it kind of undermines it when you tell other people, oh God, don't be a middle leader, it's rubbish.
Yeah.
They don't have a business to
Yeah,
fall back onto.
yeah.
So we put hours into stuff, right? You put so much of your free time into stuff. You become obsessed. And a lot of your free time when we were building the business was constantly doing stuff to do with the business.
Yeah.
And I had to say to you, Hayden, just chill out for a bit. But you didn't want to. It's
No.
part of what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I saw you doing that, plowing time in before we had the business into school and math leadership and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So essentially what I'm saying to you is, do you think it is really solely down to how having a business kind of changed how you saw your time outside of school? Because suddenly putting your time into something in school compared to putting the same amount of time into something for our business,
Yeah.
one of them had absolutely no reward for you, and it was just you're just playing the game and you've got to make your lesson slightly better for an hour. The other one created a system where actually you improved your profits, I don't know, £50 a month even, let's just say £100 a month. Is that why, do you think?
I think that is a huge factor. Huge factor. Because like you just said, just to reiterate it, when I used to plow time into both, loads and loads and loads of time into my teaching role outside of school, extra hours, and also into our business, right? And one of them gave immediate tangible results and rewards financially, and the other one didn't even come with recognition or praise. That was the problem. It was like the opposite. It wasn't even the middle ground of like, you at least both you're appreciated for, like, because we'd obviously appreciate each other. And then at school, at least it doesn't come with money, but at least you're appreciated.
And you got a salary at least.
And you know what? It wasn't. And you leave a school and you realize that all of those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours that you put into that job weren't remotely appreciated, and it meant nothing. And the second you leave the school, you might as well have not done it. You might as well have just actually enjoyed your life for a bit, and it would have made no difference. It's that horrible thought train. And I think it was the culmination of both of those things. Leaving a school around the time that our business started picking up and going to a different school, and I left the school again, so I've been in 3 schools, realizing that absolutely none of the extra time you put in was remotely appreciated, or it was just expected of you. All right, and if you didn't do it, it'd almost be in the bad books. It's like, what are you talking about?
But you still get your salary.
Got my salary. Made me think, no, I will do what's required of me. I'm not going to be lazy. I'll do what's required of me of this job, and I'll plan good lessons, and I'll teach good lessons, and I'll mark as I'm supposed to mark. But I'm not putting in any more time anymore. And what I will do is I'll spend more time in our business, which then immediately has tangible results. I put in more time, we make more money. And I know it sounds really selfish, and we are talking about money right now, but at the end of the day, we need money to live. Like, no one's doing this job for free, are they?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I transitioned to, I'll my free time, I can do it for absolutely nothing, no pay or recognition. All right, and really probably not even making that much difference to the kids. If it did, I'll still do it, because I still believe in kids need a really quality education, versus doing time for our business where there are rewards in it.
So do you understand then, I suppose, I completely agree with everything you said. Do you understand how us saying to someone who doesn't have a business, who doesn't have the extra thing on the side, who is just a class teacher, who's plowing their extra time into doing stuff like you said, do you sometimes feel like a bit of a fraud for saying, just don't do it, knowing that we could not do it and make money another way?
I feel like a bit of a snob.
Yeah, or basically, what would you say to someone who doesn't have that option to put their time into something else?
Do you know what my honest, and I do think I say this now, because there has been a time where I'd just be like, I'd just shun it, and it would almost be a bit condescending. So I don't do middle leadership. I don't need to, because I run a business and make money outside of school. It's like, that is obviously horribly condescending. Don't even say that. What I say to people now is, why are you doing it?
Sure.
That is it. And if it's, I want to work up the ladder, I say, cool, good luck, go for the job. Nice one. If it's, because that's what I'm supposed to do, right? I've been to class teaching for 10 years, and they're asking me to do it. They think I'd be good. I'm supposed to do that, right? Don't do it then. Don't do it. If you're happy, are you happy as a class teacher? Yeah, I love being a class teacher. Cool. Do you want all this extra responsibility? Not really, but they think I should do it because I've been doing teaching for 10 years. Don't do it. Stop. The money's not going to change your life whatsoever. It's not going to change your life. You will be more stressed. You'll have more workload to do. I don't know. You might like it as a risk, but I tell you what, from the majority of people I know in my life who have fallen into it for that reason, they absolutely hate it and then want out.
Flip the mindset. Being a class teacher, I say is enough. Okay, and I hate saying is enough sometimes because it sounds like it's lower. It's a low amount, but it's just about right. No, it's more than enough. Yeah. Being a class teacher, no one goes to an accountant. I always use an accountant. Sorry, accountants out there. No one goes to an accountant and say, "Are you just an accountant? Do you not have any extra responsibility within this business? Are you not like leading a team?" Or it's weird. You're just an accountant? Okay, well, you've been doing it for 8 years. I don't know. No, of course they're just an accountant.
They're an accountant.
Great. They're great at their job. They're great at accounting.
And they're better at accounting now than they were 8 years ago because the job is extremely complex and vast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
Thanks
crazy.
for grilling me there. That was good. It's good to get into it, I think, because I never want to come across as condescending.
No, but it's just interesting from my point of view, knowing you were drilled thinking into doing that, because I was never on your level whatsoever. But watching you almost flip past me,
Yeah.
like you really wanted to do it, and now you couldn't want to do it less in terms of all that kind of stuff. It's just been interesting to watch that, and I've always wondered whether it was because of the situation or not. Because again, I'm going back to what you did. You actually were on a proper middle leadership team, weren't you? In terms of when you went to your second school, you were very much involved in that team of people who were driving something and had a bit of an extra responsibility. And I'd say that was very much middle leadership kind of role. I've personally never, apart from maths lead, I've never really been in charge of year groups, phases, curriculums, or anything like that. You were very much on the ground, and from your experience then, you would say it's not worth it.
No, that was the worst year of my life in terms of, like, I really struggled mentally that year. Like, that was the worst. I'm not. It's not on other people. I'm not actually trying to say that.
No.
But for me personally, it was the worst. It was the worst year. That's not my life. Let's say my career.
Sure.
The worst year of my career. I really, really struggled, and it was because I was at the highest level I'd been in terms of middle leadership, with lots of responsibilities that I just could not fulfill. It was way too much, and our business was in its like second year at this point.
Sure.
And that was all, we were plowing in time for that. And I was seeing both. They were there. It was like the fork in the road right in front of me. I was like, I can't fulfill this middle leadership role unless I absolutely dedicate my life to it right now. That's how much time it's requiring of me. And we've got this business where I was like, we can't grow this business unless we absolutely dedicate our lives to it at the weekends and evenings, and it won't grow. And I was at this horrible fork in the road where I had both.
And your legs were just getting split. You were just going like do the splits, trying to go down both roads.
Yeah,
and it was
I think
impossible.
I nearly had a breakdown that year. Like I reckon I was as close as it gets for my own mind, and everyone's different. But I was close. I quit. It's a good job I put my notice in. I put my notice in after like 3 months, because I was like, I recognized it. I was like, I will implode if I even try to do this. And I chose the business. I got rid of all those. I said to myself, I don't want to be a middle leader now. This is not the road for me. I just want to go and be a class teacher and run our business. That's what I want to do.
That's the moment where I'd say for you, I was just like, okay, he absolutely has stepped off that now.
Yeah.
Absolutely off that wagon. Doesn't want to do it anymore. No, it's really interesting, and you've got experience of it. And when we did this episode, I wanted to get into your head, because there's a lot of people out there who I really want to kind of talk to right now, and it's just those people you spoke about earlier who feel like they have to do something. They're feeling pressure. They go to family events and they ask, "Oh, are you leading a year group yet? Or are you in charge? What are you in charge of?" And it's about being emboldened enough to say, No. I teach the children maths.
Particularly men, by the way. Apparently, men have that. Look at the data. Men feel that pressure more.
Well, it's both ways, isn't it? They want it more in general.
Yeah.
Like, you started your career, I'm going to be a head teacher. Yeah. More men.
But I think it's because of the culture.
But it's both, isn't it? I don't know which one's which, but you're absolutely right. There is far more of an expectation when I go and speak to family members and stuff, where the business has kind of taken that flack off. So if they talk to me about something, they'll be like, "Well, what are you doing in school?" It's like, "Oh, I'm just part time now." And they're like, "What? Why?
You're not the deputy head?
You're 26 and you're not in charge of the trust. What's going on?"
I'm 26.
It's like, well, about that, I was not 26. But yeah, there is a pressure. Absolutely, there is an expectation. But all genders feel that for sure when they get to a certain age. 30 for me was a big one. I'm not gonna lie. When I turned to 30, I did. Never thought when I was in my late 20s 30 would be a thing for me. Yeah. I always thought, hey, it's just a number. 30 is people worried about 30. What's going on? It turns out it's not a thing that you necessarily inherently believe yourself. It's from external. It's external pressure is why you end up feeling that way. Because I got towards 30 and I was like, I am 30. I am no closer whatsoever to being at the top of this ladder in the profession I chose. Yeah. Right? And that's a real pressure that was externally put on me. I didn't care.
Because at the end of the day, if our business fails or stops for any reason, you're back to square one.
Yeah. And do you know what? I have to be okay with that, because I am okay with that. And that sounds like a stupid sentence. I am okay with that. I'd like being a classroom teacher. I've made these choices. I can't let external pressures or what other people think and perceive make me feel a different way. Because the only reason I'd be annoyed at myself is if I got annoyed that other people saw me as lesser. Yeah. And as soon as I feel that way, I know I've caved into what other people might think.
Exactly that.
So I don't want to let those people win. And then if for whatever reason I did just become a teacher again, do you know what? Great. And then I could from then choose what I wanted to do. It's never too late. But I don't want to be a middle leader. I don't want to be an SLT.
No.
That's not. Do you know what I want to do? I want to teach the kids. I want to do my great gifted and talented group every week. I want to be around them when they learn something new. I want to have those eureka moments.
Yeah.
And being anything above class teacher means I get less of that. And if I don't get less of it, it means I'm more stressed because I've got to do the job outside.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just a lose-lose. Either I have less time teaching the kids and I have a more admin role, which I don't really want, or I have the same amount of time teaching the kids, which I love, but I'm stressed as hell and absolutely knackered because I'm doing all my work outside of it. It's a lose-lose.
Oh, it's such a catch-22 in teaching, isn't it? Because you know what? We need SLT like that.
Mm.
We need you to be SLT. We need SLT that love teaching so much that they actually want to be in the classroom all the time still, and not SLT that lose touch because they're not in the classroom at all anymore, and they've not been in the classroom for 8 years, 10 years. Like that's when you start to get those SLT that are totally out of touch and make these decisions that don't make any sense, and class teachers disagree with. But I think about our school. We've got our assistant head, who is probably like one of the most prominent people in our school. She does so much for our school, and I have a lot of respect for her. But she has the same opinion as you, because I often say to her, "Come on, when are you going to go be a head teacher? Like you're absolutely the candidate for it. Like you should be a head teacher." And she often will reflect and be like, "I just don't want to lose the kids. Like I don't want to not be in the class with the kids." And it's the same as you. Like she has that battle of I like being in control and making big decisions, but I just love being in front of the kids. And I just wish every school had SLT like that, because I know a lot of schools don't. Yeah, and it's a huge divide, isn't it?
Well, our deputy head teacher at our school, we always talk about schools in general. We're never talking about our school. Our deputy head teacher, he taught some English. I think it was my second year in the school, so about 4 or 5 years ago now. He took over an English set for various reasons. We just needed someone to teach that, and he loved it. And you could see he was in his element,
just sort of missing
because his priority is the kids. Yeah. And you can just tell he's taken on this role, maybe accidentally over the years, where you get more, give more. Yeah. SLT, SEN lead, blah blah blah. And then suddenly you find yourself out the classroom because you can't physically do that job anymore.
Yeah, it has to
and there's two groups of people. They're the group of people who are like, cool, get me out of the classroom. I just want to be in charge. I want to have all these things. Yes, cool. Invariably, they become the toxic SLT, who don't care anymore and just like, data driven. Yeah, this. I don't care what you think anymore. I've just got to get this out of you.
Not always, but
No.
More likely to
more likely. And then you have the SLT who yearn to be in the classroom, who want to be in the classroom, who enjoy being around the kids, who want the best for the children, who in general I find are more approachable and a bit more sympathetic when you go to them and say, God, I love teaching, but all of this stuff, man. I feel open enough to say that. I've had conversations with SLT in my school before where I have said to them directly, I love teaching. I hate marking and planning. I hate it because it's in my own time and I really don't like it. And I've got an open enough conversation, and I feel like I can say that to my leaders and they can understand it.
And they won't just put you in their black book of doing all this teacher's not working hard enough. Yeah.
I'm going to skirt around to finish off now and kind of finish on a big question, which is kind of linked to this, but I guess it's separate as well.
All right.
Okay. And I just want your honest opinion, and I'll give you mine too. And I'll start with mine if you'd rather mine first. So you just tell me. With all this in mind, with the idea that being a classroom teacher is where we want to be, okay? Being in class is what we love doing. But the idea of going further in a broken system doesn't really appeal to us. And the fact we have a business that's growing.
Yeah. Is
the next logical step that we have to take to quit teaching?
That's a big question. Do you already have an opinion form so I can have some time to think?
Yeah. I don't mind talking about it because it's something I've been thinking about. It's a big thing. And we can do an episode on it later down the line.
Yeah.
I love teaching. We can't fake this. We get messages from people all the time. We always worry we're a bit too negative sometimes.
Yeah.
We get messages from people all the time saying, oh my God, thank you. I'm a teacher. I feel stressed, overwhelmed. You're really honest about the role. You're really honest about the job and how hard it is. But you're also really passionate. And we can tell that we're both really passionate.
Yeah.
I worry massively that I will quit soon. And when I say worry, it's because I love teaching.
Yeah.
I absolutely love teaching. And if I quit teaching, I'm really scared, I'll be honest, that I will never be able to replace that being in front of the kids and teaching them. I love that more than anything. The fact that's my job, I feel lucky.
Yeah.
Everything else that comes with it, and the idea that the progression is no longer there for me now, I'm at the top of the pay scale. I can't logically look at it for much longer and say, okay, I'll carry on. Something has to give.
Yeah.
And it's both because of the system that we've just spoken about, how middle leadership's not worth it to me. to get to SLT.
Yeah.
And also the fact we have our business as well.
And the fact that
that's
being a
growing.
class teacher is still tough as well.
It's tough.
It's not like it's not like it's an easy thing you can just sit on for the next 25 years.
And even though we're part-time, I still, the mental load is genuinely the same, because I still got to be on top of the whole planning, because I need to know what the thing is.
Of course,
I still need to be on top of the whole class and all their needs. It's not like I suddenly have half the class to worry about.
Yeah.
All of that mental cognition, that mental load is the same. I'm just literally not in the building as much, and I do a bit less planning and a bit less marking. I worry about it because I look at it and I think eventually I'm going to have to leave the classroom, and I'm going to have to forego what I love doing, because there'll become a point where I'm just like, can't get much more out of this job. Can't have the progression I need.
The business can't
is
progress
growing.
anymore unless we have more time.
I'm worried it's going to happen, and I want everyone to know that if I ever did, it would be a hard decision for me. But I think it might end up happening at some point in the future. I don't know when.
Yeah, it's tough. I want to bring it back down to, despite everything I say, right, about money, you don't. I think every teacher really has at least a part of their brain that's like, I'm not doing this for the money.
Of course.
Even though I always say, of course, we're doing it for the money. Like, we do actually need to live. We are doing it because we need money as well. Yeah. But there is always a part of you, isn't there, that's like, oh, I do just love it though. And like you said, I love being with the class. So I think the business is getting to a point where we are back to, I'm feeling like we're back to the point where we work 5 days a week, we work evenings, we work weekends again. That's where I feel like we're at. And now we've got kids.
Yeah.
I'm way more reluctant to do more reluctant to do that. Yeah. I'm less inclined, I should say, to do that, because I don't want to be absent father. Yeah. I don't want to be that. I've seen too much of that. I don't want to be that. I want to be part of, and I know you're exactly the same. We want to be part of our kids' lives. Completely. Like, a huge part of it. And I'm sort of like thinking of everything in mind, the business, the tangible growth of the business, right? That I can get that kick out of, like, the business is growing. In the same way you might get a kick out of getting a promotion at work, which I'm not going to do, right? I get those kicks and things from the business. I get the finances from the business. I get the kick of, like, growth. I get all of the responsibility and that head teacher feeling of the business because we're running it. I get all of those things fulfilled from the business, but it's getting to a point where we can't do any more of that unless we have more time. But in teaching, regardless of the money, I get the ultimate satisfaction of watching kids learn. Yeah. It's tough. So it's a horrible crossroads that we're at, where realistically we need to reduce our timetable more at school if we want to continue growing our business and spending more time with our kids, our own kids. So yeah, I don't know. Tough. I think it is going to get to the point where we have to. Yeah, we have to, and it will be really hard, and we'll have to replace it with something. Yeah, and there's a lot of teachers out there who feel the same way. That's why I wanted to talk about it, basically, because I struggle with it. I sit and I think, how would I feel in my last week or day or assembly knowing I'm not teaching anymore? I think I'd be horrified. Yeah, you'd be crying. I would be crying. Yeah, I would, because I cry everything. But it's a big question. Dylan, this podcast, this episode has gone on. I know, it's gone deep at the end. That's gone deep. I don't want to talk about much more about it, but I just thought I'm interested in the listeners' views as well. Are you in a similar situation to us? You've been teaching for so long, you get into a rut after a bit. Yeah, because either the rut ends with you either taking this job you don't want in middle leadership and you end up more stressed than ever before. I'm very reluctant to do that. Yeah. It would be interesting to know if you're in a position, even just literally like stripping it back as far as possible. You're a teacher and you think you don't want to do it anymore for whatever reason, or you think you shouldn't do it anymore for whatever reason, but you're conflicted about that. I'd love to hear from that, because that will help us out, I'm sure. Yeah. Or in the long term. I've heard a lot of people taking a role and within 3 months being like, I knew this would be bad, and it is. And it's really awkward because it's October and you're just like, this is awful. Because what could happen for us, right? Let's say we do it. Let's say we go, we're just going to work on our business full time now, and we're not going to teach anymore. We might make more money, right? But be like just way less happy. Yeah, completely. Less satisfied with our lives. And which is a real thing, because money isn't everything. We've said it's not. We wouldn't be here doing a teacher podcast and being teachers if money was everything. We could have just spent the last hour doing something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But no, we love teaching. We're passionate about teaching. We want to talk about teaching, help teachers. Yeah. We're really passionate. And everyone loves having money. Yeah. Of course they do. But I do also like being happy more. Yeah. Well, teachers accepted are about to accept a 5.5% pay rise. Junior doctors got 22%. It's not all about the money for the teachers. Yeah. We could have kicked up a fuss and kept going. Our money's been cut by more than that over the last 10, 12 years. Yeah. There is still an underlying current, rightly or wrongly, where it's like, I'm okay. I'm all right. There's got to be a point, though. I don't know. I'm worried. I don't know what it'll be. Deep at the end. This has got very deep. Yeah. I'm really in my head right now. Should we finish there? Let's, thinking about being a middle leader, just weigh out the pros
Oh
and
yeah,
cons.
it was about middle leadership.
Yeah, let's bring it back. Weigh out the pros and cons. Just really think about why you're doing it. If it's a stepping stone for you, do you know what? It probably is the right decision. If you're being pressured into it because you think that's what you're supposed to do after a certain amount of years, really, really, really think before you jump into that role, because it might end up being not what you want at all.
And make sure you're in the right environment, because quite often these are used as carrots to bait someone to stay and do something. And you're like, yeah, it's a stepping stone, but in that school, it's not. Do you ever watch Takeshi's Castle?
Yeah.
Where they had to go across the stepping stones.
Yeah, yeah.
It could be one of those that's fake and you just sink.
Yeah,
okay, it's not actually a stepping stone. It's a fake stepping stone. They're saying it so you can just stay on. They don't want to lose you. You go
Takeshi's
sinking. Oh, God. You're out of Takeshi's Castle.
Sorry, everything you said is ruined because all I can think about now is driving around a little car at the end with the water pistols.
Well, it's a good analogy, isn't it, for climbing the ladder? Really, really, really hard. Get to the end and you lose anyway.
See the ladder. Someone's telling me if you go on that stone, you'll be one closer to the end. You won't know because you'll fall.
No. Yep.
All right. Cool. Love that. Cheers. Nice negative ending.
Oh, no, not at all. Teaching amazing. I mean, that was really
amazing.
positive, actually, weirdly.
Yeah.
Because we talk about how much we love teaching.
Yeah. Crazy episode.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm going to go and I need to go and sit down for a few hours now.
Can you give us a review, please?
Also that. Yeah. Cheers.
See ya.
Bye.